Joining me now is House Impeachment Manager and Delegate for the U.S. Virgin Islands, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and member of the House Appropriations Committee, Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan. Thank you both very much for being here. I'm going to start with you, Congresswoman Plaskett. Can you believe, I said at the start of the show, Democrats are governing, and what exactly are Republicans doing? Are you surprised, and maybe you're not, but are you surprised that even given the state of the economy and the state of the nation as a result of the COVID pandemic, that Republicans are not willing to have their rhetoric match policy?
Well, thank you for having me. This is a wonderful way to have a Sunday with you, Jonathan, and of course to be with my good friend Tim Ryan here. Republicans are not interested in what the majority of Americans are interested. We've seen that over 70% of Americans want the package that President Biden gave them, that we saw throughout the pandemic, that they were living in under a veil, not willing to accept the reality of not just the health risk, but to our economy as well from the COVID pandemic. Never mind all of the social ills that are going on in this country. And we, as Democrats being in the majority, are going to push for those things. It's frightening them, and they are scrambling as to what to hang their hat on as a party right now.
You know, Congressman Ryan, as much as Congressman Plaskett's, anger there on the floor, chastising another member of Congress, having the nerve to talk about the black family. Your speech on the House floor, the clip of which that we showed, I think crystallizes sort of the American frustration with Republicans as they are operating now on the Hill. And that is, they're against the minimum wage, they're against child tax credits, they're against a whole lot of things that would help the American worker. And yet when it comes to tax cuts, they're all there, ready to vote for it. Is there any way for you, do you think, to work with Republicans to actually come up with legislation that would actually be bipartisan, not just among the American people, but among the Republicans who are actually there on the Hill?
I'm not optimistic about it, Jonathan, but first let me say I'm great to be with you. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'm an even bigger fan of Stacey's, and I'm glad the world got to see how talented and passionate she is over the last few weeks with both the impeachment and her speech on the floor this week. I'm not optimistic at all about working with Republicans. I think if you can't support what we were pushing in the last few weeks to rescue communities, to rescue families, I mean, you've got to be living on another planet to not recognize how many millions of Americans were worried about paying their rent. They were worried about making their car payments so they didn't lose their cars. They were worried about filing bankruptcy. If you don't understand that, you're so disconnected. You're so far down the right-wing rabbit hole on social media. Those algorithms got you in a bad place because you're disconnected from what the American people need. So I'm not optimistic. I think it's important that President Biden and his team continue to reach out to try to offer them an olive branch to come in. But we're not going to compromise our values. And I love the one magazine article where Ron Klain, the chief of staff, was sitting in the Oval Office and the Republicans were trying to get that $1,400 number down to a lower number. And Klain was just shaking his head no. Like, we're not going to do that. We know what the American people need. We are delivering for them, and Republicans are out in the cold.
Congressman Plaskett, they're out in the cold, but they're out in the cold reading Dr. Seuss and complaining about Potato Head and other things that have no material impact on the lives of the American people. Why are they going down that road, do you think?
Well, you know, I think that they have really bought into what the former President Trump fed them, and they're grasping now at straws on a way to message that will entice people back to the party. But we see now, and everyone is seeing, that we have a president that is empathetic to the needs of the American people and what people have been desperate for. I'm here at home on St. Croix, and just this week, we've had, our great Virgin Islander, Tim Duncan, had to come and donate an oxygen generator to our hospital because during the pandemic, under previous leadership of the president, President Trump, there were so many things that are missing. Americans are not fooled by what the Republicans are trying to put forward in the GOP. We have an agenda that is the people's agenda, and it's going to get done. We're going to move on to infrastructure and to jobs. We are working on social justice issues. We are working on the things everyday Americans are interested in, along with wealth creation, support for our children. It's going to be a fantastic 4 years.
Congressman Ryan, I almost slipped there because I almost said Senator Ryan, but that is actually a nice
yes.
That's a nice segue into my next question. There it is. Name it and claim it, Congressman Plaskett said. So, one, I think you've already said you are thinking about running for the U.S. Senate seat that's being vacated by, I believe, Senator Rob Portman. Have you come to a decision on whether you're going to run for the United States Senate?
Not yet. Next few weeks, Jonathan. But, you know, that's something we're very, very interested in. When you look at these issues, especially in the Senate, where it's on the razor's edge as to whether or not working people are going to get relief. And I say working people, white, black, brown, gay, straight, people who just go out there and you know, live paycheck to paycheck. And this economy over the last really 30 or 40 years has not been good to them. And I think a strong, decisive voice in the United States Senate, bringing some solutions and working on behalf of these workers who've been left behind is very enticing to a person like me, because we've been on the underside in Ohio of globalization, automation, you know, an attack on workers, attack on communities of color, healthcare disparities, all the rest. And it's exciting to think about, you know, potentially being in the United States Senate and grabbing the floor and advocating on behalf of those people. So I'm going to consult with Stacey, and we'll make a decision here in the next couple of weeks.
Congressman Ryan,
I already told you on the road in Ohio already.